Welcome to the Shelterbox Club Champion training. This is your baseline to get started as a volunteer with Shelterbox. We're going to cover everything you need to know to be successful in your volunteer role. Let's get started.
At Shelterbox, we believe every family has a right to shelter after disaster. We believe that with the right tools and training, communities can work together to lead recovery. We believe that with your help, we can build a world where no family is left without shelter. When natural disasters devastate communities or conflict forces families to flee, shelter gives people a place to call home. But what makes a home? Is it a roof with brick walls? Or is it the people we love and the comfort of a little shade? Home is a location, but it could be anywhere that family, friends, and community come together. It can be a place made of simple pieces, like a spot to play, a light to read by, or a soft place to lay your head. Together, these items provide a sense of security and comfort, but also hope for the days to come. Shelterbox gives families across the globe a place to call home. We do this by working with some of the most vulnerable and hard-to-reach communities around the world. Every disaster is different, and so are the needs of every community. That's why we work directly with families to understand their needs and provide the support they need most to start their own recovery. By uniting with partners like Rotary International, by working with volunteers, and by inspiring supporters to share their passion, we are able to provide shelter and essential items, working alongside families to support their recovery. At Shelterbox, we see a future where no family is left without shelter after disaster or conflict. Join us today and stand with people who care about the global community and who are acting to make a difference. Give families around the world a place to call home.
That video shows Shelterbox in action, delivering aid around the world to families recovering after disaster. Now let's chat about who we are as an organization. Shelterbox is an organization made up of people who believe in shelter as a human right, that shelter from the chaos of disaster and conflict is vital for recovery. We are an international disaster relief charity that hand-delivers emergency shelter and the tools families need to self-recover after natural disasters and conflict around the world. Our vision is to see a world where no family is without shelter after disaster. Over the past 20 years, we have helped to rebuild the lives of more than 1.5 million people worldwide, but the global need for shelter is growing. Today, in 2020, the need for emergency shelter is more urgent than ever, with 88 million people living without shelter after disaster. On average, only 1 in 5 families receive the emergency shelter that they need after disaster. We are working to change this, and you are a critical part of our movement. Recovery starts with shelter. Shelter means a place to feel safe, often after days or weeks of fear. It means having somewhere to call home again, where you can find shade from the midday sun and warmth when winter comes. It means having somewhere to be with friends and family and to have time to yourself. It's a place to cook, to play, to study, to laugh. It's a place to start again. When natural disasters and conflict force people from their homes, we can't replace what a family has lost, but we can help to rebuild. We provide people with the tools to start the process of their own recovery. In 2000, the idea for Shelterbox was created by the Rotary Club of Helston Lizard in Cornwall, United Kingdom. This happened when Rotary International encouraged members to come up with projects to mark the millennium. Shelterbox was launched as a project by the club that same year to help families after disaster. The initial idea was to pack up the tools and things people needed to recover after disaster. Initially, the idea was to support 8 to 10 families a year, with each box containing a family-sized tent, sleeping bags, water purifying tablets, trenching tools, and pots and pans. A year later, we sent our first batch of hand-packed shelter boxes to India after the 2001 earthquakes. 20 years later, Shelterbox has become a humanitarian leader in disaster relief, supporting 1.5 million people since the year 2000. Shelterbox Canada is a registered charity that has been a part of the global Shelterbox network since 2010. We are one of 15 affiliate Shelterbox offices globally, and our Canadian office is located in Toronto, Ontario. Our Canadian team is responsible for raising funds and awareness. We have a team of over 125 volunteers across the country who share their passion with us and help us raise awareness and fundraise all across the country. Shelterbox Canada is funded by public donations from Canadian individuals, companies, groups, Rotarians, and Rotary clubs. We do not receive government funding, and we rely on your support to help us ensure no family goes without shelter when disaster strikes. We pre-position aid around the world so that our teams can respond immediately following a disaster. Donations allow us to be prepared to respond immediately whenever families need our help. To be as effective as possible in providing immediate help to families, we do not accept donations designated to a specific country or disaster. The way we work means we are prepared for immediate response. Donations received before a disaster will often be those that are used to respond to it. Donations stimulated because of a disaster may be used to prepare for the next one. Each disaster is different, and so is every community. This is why we have a flexible approach. We listen and learn from the communities we work alongside to provide them with the right tools to recover. Let's take a look at some of our aid. Our sturdy green shelter boxes contain family-sized tents, specially designed to withstand the elements and provide people with temporary shelter until they are able to start the process of rebuilding a home. Tents allow families to live as comfortably as possible and meet their basic needs: eating together, praying together, simply being together in a private space that they can call home. The geodesic family tent is our most used tent and has been developed by humanitarian experts including the International Federation of the Red Cross and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. The tents are made of well-proven, durable humanitarian tarpaulin to help make families feel safe and protected from the weather. The tent can withstand up to 100 km/h winds and can stay dry in up to 6 inches of standing water. The exterior shell shields UV lights and is ventilated to stay cool in hot climates. The tent can also be winterized to keep families warm in cold weather. Shelterbox listens carefully to those who receive our aid. One of the things we hear from people who have survived a disaster is that they want to rebuild their homes and livelihoods as soon as possible. In the wake of disaster, families can use the contents of a shelter kit to make immediate repairs to their damaged homes. We customize the contents of the kit to meet the individual needs of each community we help. Sometimes they include corrugated iron to help make resistant roofing, as well as items like tarpaulin and timber. We always provide training in the field to help families understand how to use their new equipment. The basic shelter kit can be supplemented with locally procured items to meet the needs of every culture and to support local economies. After we have decided if we are going to distribute a tent or a shelter kit, we then know whether we will send a shelter box or a totem box. We know that a home is much more than bricks and mortar or tarpaulin and tent pegs. Our kits and boxes contain the items that help families transform shelter into a home, like cooking sets, mosquito nets, water filters, solar lights, blankets, and ground sheets. We use our signature shelter box when we are delivering larger aid items such as tents, thermal blankets, ground sheets, or cooking sets. We use a smaller totem box when we are delivering only smaller aid items such as solar lights, water filters, or mosquito nets. Everything we do is guided by the same goal: helping families rebuild after disaster. To make sure we do that as effectively as possible, we constantly question what we do. We explore what we could do differently. We ask ourselves how we could do better. We put innovation at the heart of our work, always searching for ways to improve. It's why we no longer provide aid only in boxes, after families told us they sometimes need larger emergency items that don't fit in our shelter boxes. It's why we changed the blankets we send to disaster zones after families told us the original ones weren't warm enough on the coldest nights. It's why we recently started using more durable tents after families said they needed somewhere more secure to feel settled and ready to face the future. It's why we worked with the company that makes our solar-powered lights after families told us the batteries used to run out too quickly. Luminade solar lights have evolved to meet the needs of families recovering after disaster. From lights that used to last only 14 to 16 hours on a charge to lights that can now last 44 to 50 hours. The Luminade is a powerful item for families to stay safe and recover. The lights transitioned from pillow to cube shape as the cube is easier to place on a tabletop. Adding adjustable handles makes it easier to hang the lantern in a shelter box tent or to hang on your clothing to bring the light with you. The newest 2-in-1 model also doubles as a portable solar phone charger. Phones are often an important survival tool and allow families to stay connected. By listening to people in every disaster where we work, we make sure people are in the best possible position to start strong as they piece their lives back together. Water, just like shelter, is a human right. When disasters devastate whole communities and force families far from home, it can be hard to ensure access to clean water. The water purification systems we have used have changed over time, from first providing water purification tablets to now using water filters. The filters can remove viruses, bacteria, and pathogens that can be found within contaminated water, as well as chemicals, heavy metals, and fecal matter. A water filter can turn up to 1,000 liters of unsafe water into clean drinking water. That's enough clean water for a family of 4 for a month. We have used several variations of water filters over the past 20 years. What led us to start using our current water filter is that it has a fail-safe that will stop dispensing water when it is no longer filtering at 100% clean. Once Shelterbox teams leave, we know that our aid will guarantee that families have safe, clean water. Meet Marimu. 33-year-old Marimu lives in a refugee camp with her 7 children. Her husband left without any explanation just after they were settled in the family shelter. Originally from Nigeria, Marimu had to leave her village after it was attacked. Marimu explained, "It is an experience that I would not wish on anybody. It was like a horror film, which makes me cry every time I think about it. One day you have everything, the next day you lose everything within a few minutes." Like many refugees, the most difficult situation that Marimu faces daily is that of access to water. She explained, "The most difficult thing is to have water. We must get up very early and go a very long way. It can take a whole day to get only 30 liters of water." Dirty drinking water is also an issue. We started to get sick. After a while, I noticed that my children and I were having frequent stomach aches and diarrhea. I realized it was caused by the water. After receiving a Shelterbox water filter, Marimu cannot contain her joy at the impact that it has had on her family. Thanks to the filter, I can assure you that our problems concerning water are no longer related to sickness, but to distance, because we still have to travel a long way to collect it. Today, we drink water without fear. Even though the distance is the same with all the difficulties that we have when fetching water, we are now spared from sickness. I use the filter without difficulty as it's very simple to use. The only thing we can say is thank you very much to Shelterbox. This is the impact that aid has on the lives of families recovering after disaster. Stories like Marimu's are the reason we do what we do. Now let's take a look at how we do it. We do whatever it takes to reach the most remote communities that have been devastated by disaster. Shelterbox is constantly monitoring disasters around the world as they are happening. Sometimes our operations team can make the decision from Shelterbox HQ whether a Shelterbox response is appropriate based on the news and reporting from humanitarian organizations. However, sometimes it's too difficult to make these decisions from afar. In these circumstances, an assessment team will travel to affected areas to do assessments in country. They will meet with local organizations as well as Rotary contacts. Our team conducts in-depth assessments to see if the situation meets our decision to respond criteria. With your help, Shelterbox gives communities the shelter and supplies they need to transform their lives. Unfortunately, the need is ever growing and we aren't able to help everyone. That is why we have our decision to respond criteria, which helps us make the tough decisions and prioritize the most vulnerable families around the world who otherwise wouldn't receive assistance. We use these criteria to help us decide whether a Shelterbox response is appropriate based on the need, what aid we can offer, and if we have the available resources. We also recognize that in some cases we are not the best suited to help, and these questions help us ensure that we are reaching families and communities with whom Shelterbox aid will provide what they need when they need it. We use the following questions to help decide whether a Shelterbox response is appropriate. Government response. Has the local government declared a state of emergency and/or asked for international assistance? The local government has to be the primary responder. If government resources are overwhelmed, then Shelterbox will look at responding, as long as we have permission to work there. Number of families needing help. Will at least 200 families need our aid? Our experience shows in most cases when the number of people who have lost their homes is under 200, most needs can be met through local organizations or through family support systems, for example, staying with relatives. We prioritize responses where we can reach families who would not otherwise have shelter available. Type of aid. Is our aid appropriate? We look carefully at whether the aid we can provide will meet families' needs, both culturally and contextually. We have a range of shelter options which makes our aid adaptable to many situations, but they won't always be needed. We have a flexible approach to our aid and we work hard to understand what families need across different situations. Whilst emergency shelter is at the heart of Shelterbox, we also provide other essential items that can help to restore a sense of normality for families living through disasters. We will only respond if what we can offer will best support families who receive our aid so that they can recover. Length of time support will be needed. Will shelter aid be required for at least 1 month? Schools and community centres are often better built to withstand disasters and are then used as temporary evacuation centres. While not always ideal, these can meet shelter needs for a short period of time. Our teams prioritize responses where the need for shelter goes beyond the capacity or availability of evacuation centres. Speed of self-recovery. Do people have the resources to recover themselves? Our operations team also takes into consideration factors like average income, availability of building materials, resilience of infrastructure like hospitals and roads, insurance, government compensation, and other factors which will help us determine whether people will be able to recover themselves. Our responses will focus on areas in which people have limited ability to self-recover without assistance. Local capacity. We strive to provide aid to families who would not otherwise receive support. We work with partners and community organizations to understand the local need and capacity. While a situation may look severe in some cases, local organizations and agencies are able to meet the needs without outside aid. Shelterbox responds when there is a need that won't be met otherwise. Shelterbox resources. Do we have the resources needed for a duration of a response? We carefully look at whether we have the people, finances, and aid needed before responding. We make sure that every family and community we work with gets the full support they need, so we only respond when we have the resources to see the full response through. Safety. Can we safely respond? At Shelterbox, we take the safety of our teams, our partners, and our beneficiaries seriously. We are experienced in working in lots of different and extreme situations around the world. We work hard to understand the risks involved and the resources we will need to help local families and ensure that our responses can be carried out safely. Sphere standards. do the vulnerabilities of the families who need help fall within SPHERE definitions? The SPHERE Handbook is one of the most widely known and internationally recognized set of standards for humanitarian response. It outlines vulnerability criteria and response standards to ensure that humanitarian organizations are not causing harm, even if well-meaning. Shelterbox uses these to help identify within the emergency who needs support the most, and adheres to all standards outlined. Global Development Index Rating. What is the affected country's index rating? We will always work hard to prioritize and help the most vulnerable families in an emergency. When disasters happen across multiple countries and we have difficult decisions to make about where to respond, we will use additional criteria as outlined by Inform Global Risk Index and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development's list of countries eligible for official development assistance to ensure we are helping those most in need. Speed and efficiency. Where will our aid have the greatest impact for families affected by disaster? This is additional criteria which we use when we have budget restrictions or multiple countries are affected at the same time, such as Hurricane Irma in the Caribbean. When we can't be everywhere, we focus on areas that our aid will have the biggest impact on families who need it the most. Once we know if we are responding, aid gets prepared to be shipped to country. We store aid in strategic locations around the world so we can get it to families as quickly as possible. Shelterbox has a network of response team volunteers around the world. When we are responding to a disaster, a team is carefully selected of staff and volunteers to deliver aid. These volunteers will leave their families at a moment's notice to travel around the world to help families recovering after disaster. Our teams play a crucial role in getting our aid to families who need it the most, but they do so much more than that. They get to know communities and work with local people to understand what's needed and support families in making the most of the items provided. They think on their feet to solve logistical issues, and they work with local governments and partners to support as many people as possible. Once aid arrives in its country of destination, it is met by our Shelterbox response team for processing through customs and organizing onward transport to its final destination. Our teams do whatever it takes to get aid to families. Whether it's by boat, helicopter, tuk-tuk, or by foot, they will do whatever it takes to get aid to families. Rotary provides invaluable assistance during our responses. Our support from Rotary is often a key component of getting our aid on the ground. Rotarians are able to provide us with first-hand knowledge of many of the countries in which we respond, logistical and operational assistance, and as well vital links into community. Let's take a closer look at Rotary. We are project partners with Rotary International, a global community of 1.5 million neighbors, friends, and community leaders. Their aim is to create positive, lasting change in communities at home and all over the world. For almost 20 years, Rotary has supported our work in an incredible range of ways. Rotary clubs around the world have donated more than $93 million to Shelterbox. Over 1,000 Rotary members volunteer or work for Shelterbox. By working together with Rotary, we are able to collaborate and combine resources to ensure that we can support more communities in desperate need of shelter. Rotarians and Rotary groups across the world support us in a variety of ways, from raising funds to providing support on the ground during our response to disaster. Let's take a look at the partnership in action.
The Philippines gets affected by disasters every year. From typhoons to earthquakes, there's so many families that need our support. At Shelterbox, we're so proud to be Rotary International's project partner, further strengthening a global circle of friendship. As people of action, Rotarians make a difference for families who have lost everything in so many ways. Through raising awareness and funds at home to providing a valuable point of contact for response teams through first-hand knowledge, introductions, logistical assistance, and vital links into communities. The partnership connects Rotarians in their own community directly with disaster-affected communities around the world. We're growing, changing, and innovating to meet the needs of the increasing number of people devastated by disaster and conflict every year. One of our strongest innovations to date was to create Shelterbox Operations Philippines. This in-country agency is based on all of the principles of Shelterbox and allows us to respond quickly and effectively. Shelterbox and Rotary have worked together in all of our previous responses in the Philippines. Collaborating with Rotary to create Shelterbox Operations Philippines was a natural next step and has allowed us to be in a better position to respond to the next disaster.
We recently responded to Tropical Storm Erduha, or Kai Tak as it was internationally known, which was centered around Biliran Island, which is in Biliran province, which is in the sort of central Visayas in the Philippines. So Rotary has been key to the entire process of the creation of Shelterbox Operations Philippines. So even before the real inception of the agency, we were working with Rotarians throughout the country. They provide us with context about the situation and about how people deal with different disasters and scenarios in each of their areas. They give us a really very, very local context.
Immediately following Tropical Storm Kai Tak, our pre-existing network of Rotarians put us in contact with the local government, the Rotary Club of Biliran Island, and local Rotaractors. We worked together in partnership throughout each phase of the response, from assessing the need to ensuring each family receives shelter and other life-saving tools. Shelterbox Operations Philippines is such an inspiring example of the difference that Shelterbox and Rotary can make when we work together and the partnership in action. Together, we are transforming despair into hope.
Our Rotary story started 20 years ago. In 2000, the idea for Shelterbox was thought up by the Rotary Club of Helston Lizard in Cornwall, UK. This happened when Rotary encouraged members to come up with projects to mark the millennium. The Helston Lizard Club was an established group of around 40 people who had been involved in a variety of charitable activities, both at home and abroad. The idea was sparked by watching the news and wanting to do more after seeing that people seemed to be left with nothing after disaster. Shelterbox was launched by the club that same year with the initial hope to help 8 to 10 families a year, with a box containing a family-sized tent, sleeping bags, water purifying tablets, trenching tools, and pots and pans. In the first year, this group of passionate volunteers took the idea and developed it into something more. They investigated the emergency items people need and worked to understand transport and logistics. They spoke to manufacturers and found a sturdy box. They visited the Rotary International Conference to drum up support and float the idea more widely. In that very first year, Rotary clubs alone donated $150,000. The faith shown by the Rotary community led to the first ever response supporting families affected by the 2001 earthquake in India. As Shelterbox grew, so did Rotary support. In 2012, Shelterbox became recognized as Rotary International's official project partner in disaster relief. Since our beginning as a Rotary Club project in 2000, Shelterbox has grown to become a respected humanitarian organization, providing emergency shelter, essential items, and support to over 1.5 million people in 97 countries. Let's take a look at Rotary in action. In April of 2015, the first of several massive earthquakes shook Nepal. The first tremor measured a shocking 7.8 in magnitude. It was felt as far away as Delhi, and whole villages across Nepal were flattened. However, thanks to our partnership with Rotary, we received reports from local Rotarians and Rotaractors on the ground. These first-hand accounts enabled us to build a picture of the devastation and to put a plan into action within hours. On the screen here, you will see Ashish on the far left. Ashish is one of the Rotaractors whose amazing support, knowledge, and dedication has helped to bring about lasting change to communities in need across Nepal. Ashish lives in Nepal and became aware of Shelterbox in 2007 at the age of 19. He explained, "My home club, the Rotaract Club of Kathmandu, had helped a Shelterbox deployment in the far western region of Nepal to support families affected by flooding. Later, in 2008, when there was another flood in the country, I contacted Shelterbox HQ asking for help. Shelterbox sent a response team of 4 with 624 shelter boxes to the flood-affected victims." Ashish was also the first to notify Shelterbox in 2015 when a massive earthquake struck Nepal. Now a head of department at Thames International College in Kathmandu, he has also been a team leader on Rotary's literacy mission in Nepal and presented a paper entitled Call of Youth at the World Forum Conference in 2014. Ashish's connections with Shelterbox continue today, and he is one of the most enthusiastic advocates of attracting young people to humanitarian ethics. He says, "Shelterbox is an amazing organization to work with. I know of only a few organizations that push themselves beyond their boundaries to help people in need, and Shelterbox is one such organization. I give most of my free time to Rotary and Shelterbox. Both organizations give me an opportunity to help society and people in need, which in fact gives me immense satisfaction. I have made my family and employers clear on my passion for community service, so it's easy for me to get time from them and from my other appointments. They are also proud of my involvement." Ashish feels he brings particular skills of communication, cross-cultural adaptability, negotiation, and above all, friendliness. Looking to the future for both Rotary and Shelterbox, he sees more opportunity to involve more youngsters with the right communication and training and development for them. As you can tell, partners are so vital for everything we do, and we are grateful for partners like Rotary International and other partners that we have in the field. Working with partners helps us to go further, faster. It gives us the flexibility to work in different areas and reach even more families in need of shelter when disasters strike. It also enables us to share our expertise in shelter and learn skills from other organizations. To ensure we are reaching as many families as possible, we often work with many other leading international relief agencies in the field. We partner with other local organizations in conflict situations when it is not safe to deploy our international volunteers or when we need help with distribution. Some of the international partner agencies we work with are Hand in Hand for Syria, Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Our work doesn't stop once we have provided families with emergency shelter and essential aid items. We also offer comprehensive training to make sure families can make the best use of the items we provide. We use a train-the-trainer approach to empower communities to rebuild and maintain their homes long after our teams leave. It's not just about teaching people to construct shelters as quickly as possible. It's about making the most of the aid items so that families have the best possible chance of recovery. In 2019, Cyclone Idai hit southern Africa, washing away entire villages in Malawi. This was one of the worst weather-related disasters to ever hit this area. Having lost everything after Cyclone Idai, Stefano and Mary were determined to rebuild their livelihoods together with the rest of their community. Shelterbox responded to Stefano and Mary's village to provide families with shelter kits, water filters, solar lights, and mosquito nets. Several months later, we returned to understand what the recovery process had been like for families like Stefano's. Their story is one of recovery.
Lasin tasu komai ukomoringari kuno madzi asanasefukire moyo unali bwino kwambiri kuko china chilichonse chimene tingapange chimapezeka. Sitimakhala ndi njala pakhopato, tinali ndi chakudya chombiri chokwana, tinali ndi zifuwo, kubwera ulimi, nkhani ya ulimi imayenda bwino. Tikasowa chinthu timatha kugulitsa ndikupeza chimene tachisowa chicho. Tikatha kudya ija timatha monga ife Amalawi timachezerana. Mwakhala mtengo ngati pano nyumba iyo ndiyo kumachezerana iyo. Mwakambitsana zina za ubale. Timapanga chocho moyo wathu.
Nthawi imene madzi ankasefukira, mvula inadzayamba kuchinyiza cham'ma past 5. Koma kodzaza mudzi wonse ndi nyumba zomwe kuyamba kumagwa anadzayamba cham'ma 11, ma 12, pomafika m'ma 3, ma 4. Nyumba zonse mudzi zatha kugwa. Zifuwo zonkumangofa nzingoberuka zikungupita. Makatundu kumangopita.
Tinalibe kupulumutsana ngati amene sanalijerere dzikoli. Chifukwa timatenga mwina kutetezapo. Kwa tinakhala 24 hours tili madzi. Titayoka kuja kupita kuja, tinalibe kuganiza zatsogolo. Tinali ngati akufa. Ngati linali banja munthu ndi mkazi, mukasiyana wina nakakhala kwina. Ana zimakhudza kwambiri chifukwa zimakhala ngati kuti makolo awo anamwalira. Po ngati akugona kwawokha, ndiye kuti alibe chitetezo cha makolo. Kubwera kwa madzi kunaononga zinthu zingapo. Naona kuti atachiyembekezo.
Nzeru zoti abwere apite kumunda, mutu munalibe chifukwa amasaka malo oti tikhazikike tikhala pati. Koma zapa chigulugulu zinali zinthu zopanda ulemu. Koma chimene chinatimangitsa kuti patsa mphamvu kuti tidzapeze malo tikhale kuno, ndi mapulasitiki munatipatsa malo nawo. Kunoko tafika kuno. Tabwera kunoko kusintha kwake kwa moyo kumene tinakuona nkukhala mumasuka. Musatitimizana ndi nzako, kapena kukangana ndi nzako ayi.
Siyana ndi ukampuku suku nali bwino ayi. Panopa moyo umene tinawo uli bwino. Ndiye timadziwa kuti ndikabanja ndithu. Ziwiya za banja lonse ndiye kusonyeza kuti moyo. Pomwe ena tikulandira komano tigwirenso ntchito kuti tidzapeze cholowa. Chifukwa chake timagwira ntchito cholinga kuganiza za mtsogolo. Chimene chimandilimbikitsa ndikutsimikiza mtima. Chifukwa chake pakubwera ndi maganizo okagwira ntchito. Tikanakhala tinayi kwampuku, sikanabwera maganizo. Pakana panda kapatudu ameneyo bwezi tili komweko. Ndili maganizo. Moti wiki yamawa ndikhala ndikudzala chimanga, anyezi, tomato. Kuti zimenezo tomato ndi anyezi uche kugulitsa zidzandithandizanso. Thandizira ndalama za nyumba ija ndithu. Timaphunzitsidwa kumakolo. Ndiye pamene timakula tikudziwa china chilichonse. Chonchapa panalibe vuto lina yonse kuti ndiyimike chimenechi. Koma ngati mmene palilimu, yayi ndi khomo la chiyembekezo. Yasintha si ukhomo ayi. Ukhomo lingati kuno. Ife timathandizana, timapanga chocho. khomo ndiba nyumba wakandi nyumba ndiba khomo
akali pano pakunoko kukacha mmodzi akumapita kumunda mmodzi akutsala pano ana akupita ku sukulu wayamba kubwerera chifukwa kunoko tili kuntunda tsopano zikukhalanso mopanda nkhawa pakhomo ndithu popandanso kudzidzimuka.
Now that you are familiar with Shelterbox and how we work to ensure that no family is left without shelter, let's talk about how to take action. Volunteers are vital for everything that Shelterbox does, and we couldn't do it without you. Our volunteers play an instrumental role in raising funds and awareness across the country.
Shelterbox ambassadors are very special people to our organization. They engage and activate across every level: fundraising, awareness, and action. They provide the link between people who need support and those who want to give it. Ambassadors do a variety of activities, and you can tailor these to your interests and what fits in your schedule. Let's get started and take a look at some volunteer activities. So many great opportunities to promote Shelterbox. One of the most popular opportunities involves making a presentation. Here are a few tips to help you get started if you're preparing to give a formal talk. The primary aim of any presentation is to raise awareness and inspire people's interest in Shelterbox. Most audiences are unlikely to remember every detail of a presentation. However, they will walk away with an overall impression of the organization and what we do. We will provide you with all of the resources you need, including PowerPoint slides and talking points. You can reach out to Rotary clubs, local service clubs, schools, or any other organization to ask to make a presentation. You could also bring Shelterbox into activities that you're already doing, such as a lunch and learn presentation in your workplace. Getting involved in events in your community is a great way to raise awareness about Shelterbox. Setting up a tent or a booth is a fantastic way to educate members of your community about our work in disaster relief. Ribfests, fairs, farmers markets, and community celebrations are a few ideas of events you can attend to represent Shelterbox. When people see the tent, they're often drawn to come and speak to you, and it's a great opportunity to raise awareness. Here are a few examples of setups that people have done in the past. You can see there's a lot of creative ways that you can raise awareness using some of our demo aid. We know that everyone likes to engage in different ways, so we've developed a few campaigns that inspire people to get together and raise funds and awareness. We ask our ambassadors to participate in the campaigns that they're interested in to help support our mission. These are easy and fun ways to engage your networks. We provide you with all the tools you need, and you have the opportunity to put your own creative flair on your event. Let's take a look at some of the campaigns. Shine for Shelterbox is an annual campaign that runs from November to February every year. It's where people can come and gather together over dinner or a pizza party or any kind of event really to socialize while all discussing disaster relief. Shine comes from our Luminaid, so the solar light aid item, and it's all about the power that light brings to illuminate dark spaces after disaster. This is always a really impactful fundraising tool. Next is Luminaid fundraising. As I just mentioned, that Shine for Shelterbox focuses on our Luminaid, our solar light. So, Luminade Fundraising is a really great fundraising campaign where we've partnered with Luminade, so the people that make the solar light. They will provide us with the Luminade at a discounted rate for use for fundraising. You are then able to sell the Luminades at their full retail price, and the difference in the cost purchase to the price that they are sold as the fundraiser will then be made as a donation to Shelterbox Canada. These Luminades also come branded with the Shelterbox logo. This is a really impactful fundraiser that could also be done at the same time as Shine for Shelterbox. We are currently seeking out real estate agents across the country to help us make an impact in our world. Buy a Home, Give a Home is a program specifically designed for realtors. For each property sold, realtors across the country can choose to donate the cost of a shelter kit, a Shelterbox tent, or a full Shelterbox to Shelterbox Canada. By participating in the program, Shelterbox Canada provides the agent with marketing materials, videos, logos, and information to promote their involvement in the program. We also include the agent in a directory we are creating on our website to promote them. As most people know a real estate agent or have one in their community, we look to the help of our volunteers to help grow this program. You can reach out to realtors in your area and let them know about this program and connect them with our team in the national office. Off the Grid is an annual campaign that takes place every year over the August long weekend. Off the Grid urges supporters to turn off all technology for 24 hours to simulate what it's like after a disaster, while fundraising at the same time. Many people who participate in Off the Grid choose to sleep outside in a tent. Some people go camping, some people do it in a backyard. Really, the rules are simple: no electricity and nothing with an on button for 24 hours. Off the Grid is also a great campaign to do with your family, friends, or even with a school. If none of these campaigns are what you want to do, you can also make it your own. Get creative. A great way to fundraise is to do things that you love doing or to challenge yourself. Examples include people doing bake sales, people participating in bike rides, and many other types of events. Get creative and get fundraising in something that you enjoy doing. Rotary is an important part of the work that we do. We're so grateful for the support we have from Rotarians, both on the ground and in raising vital funds to help families recover. Rotary clubs across Canada tirelessly fundraise every year to ensure that no family is without shelter after disaster. You can get your own Rotary club involved if you are a Rotarian, or if you're not, you can reach out to clubs in your local area. The Shelterbox Hero program recognizes Rotary clubs that have identified the continuing need to prepare for disasters and respond at a moment's notice. Shelterbox Hero Awards are given out every year based on a club's annual support of Shelterbox Canada, through either donations or funds raised. There are 3 Shelterbox Hero levels: Bronze, which is $1,200, Silver, which is $3,600, and Gold, which is $6,000. In the past year, we've had 150 clubs across Canada who've joined us as a Shelterbox Hero. This is a great program to promote to your own Rotary Club or Rotary clubs in your area and encourage them to become a Shelterbox Hero this year. The Rotary Action Toolkit is designed specifically for Rotarians and Rotary clubs to provide the information and tools you need to support the partnership between Rotary and Shelterbox in your community. At Shelterbox Canada, we have plenty of resources to get you started in raising funds and awareness with your club. The toolkit is our website that provides you with the resources for fundraising campaigns, volunteering, district newsletters, training resources, and much more. The toolkit is accessible to you and as well to any Rotarian or Rotary club across Canada. You can find the Action Toolkit by visiting shelterboxcanada.org/Action Toolkit. The volunteer portal is where you can find all of the resources that you need to be successful in your volunteer role.
It's also where we frequently post updates and the latest things that you need to know. I'm going to walk you through the volunteer portal right now. If ever you need help finding a resource or there's something that you need that's not on the portal, please let us know and we're more than happy to help you out. So starting with our login page at the portal, you access the portal by going to shelterboxcanada.org/portal. It will take you to this login page. I will provide you with all the login credentials that you need once you have completed this training. So we can just hit login. And it takes us to the landing page of the portal. So this is just the home page. At the top right here, we usually put banners that have the most recent resources. So at the moment, we have a campaign running for Stock the Box, and we've recently had a virtual volunteer conference. So this is where the latest things will be posted, and often these will change. Lower down is where we have the core information of the portal. Here you can find key info, deployment info, presentation resources, promotional resources, fundraising and youth resources, as well as resources for our advocate volunteers. So if we just take a look and click through some of the areas of the portal, you can see there's a lot of different information on each page. At the top of every page, it tells you some of the things that you can find so you know what is on that page. Here you can see you can meet some of our team members. We have links to things like donation forms, our policy, volunteer agreements, expectations, trainings you can reference back to, our webinars. If we, for example, go and click on webinars, it will take us to this page where we host our monthly webinars, and they can be found right here. So you can always go back and reference things that have happened in the past. And then if we go back to the home page again, if you click on deployment info, this is where you will find our latest updates about where we're working. This is updated on a weekly basis, so you can come here every single week and you can see the latest updates for the countries that we are responding in. If ever you need more information or if you have questions, you can always reach out to us and we're more than happy to help. We also have presentations on the portal, so if you're looking to give a presentation to your Rotary Club, we have all of the PowerPoint resources and everything you would need to be able to give a successful presentation. So if you click on any of these links, it will take you to download the resources that you need. And then on these last couple sections, we have our promotional resources, which are things like videos, graphics, posters, those kind of resources that really show people what they need to know about Shelterbox. It's also worth noting that we have volunteer t-shirts. They are available to purchase online, so you can find all of that information on the portal as well. And everything is linked here for you. And again, if ever you need help with resources, please send us an email and we're happy to help. And then in the fundraising and youth resources, you will find some more things related to our fundraising campaigns that you can participate in, our campaigns that you can encourage your Rotary Club to participate in as well. That can all be found in this section. And then this advocate area, that's just specifically for our advocate volunteers. At the bottom of this page, we have our volunteer activity report. This is where you can come and fill in all of the activities that you're doing as a volunteer. You can choose to log them as frequently as you like. Some people like to do it after every activity. Some people prefer to do it on a monthly basis, whatever works best for you. And that's just a quick rundown to the volunteer portal. As you can see, there's a lot on it and a lot of resources to help you be successful in your role. As mentioned earlier, the time where we receive the most donations is usually when a disaster has taken place. Sometimes a disaster will strike that results in a major humanitarian need and a media frenzy. At Shelterbox, these are often the times when we see that spike in our donations. While we know that on average, only 1 in 5 families around the world receive the emergency shelter that they need after disaster, this isn't always known by the general public. When these major disasters happen, the public, community groups, and Rotary clubs become very receptive to supporting our work because the need becomes much more apparent. When major disasters happen, there is often a high media coverage about the disaster. During these times, we rely heavily on our volunteers' support to raise awareness and funds following the disaster. Updates about the disaster and the Shelterbox response will be sent to you via email, and as well we update the volunteer portal with these important updates. It's important to read what information is internal only. Information in any communications marked internal only is for volunteer knowledge only and not to be shared outside the organization. This is so that we can provide you with the latest updates so you can respond to questions when asked. There are a variety of things that you can do during these times of major disaster, and again, you will receive all instructions about this via email.
Currently, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most of our volunteer activities have been taken virtual in order to keep all of our volunteers safe. Most of the activities can be done online. For example, our presentations have shifted to being Zoom presentations, and volunteers are hosting fundraisers virtually or doing socially distanced fundraisers on their own. We have lots of examples on our website of things you can do, and you'll be receiving emails as well about different activities. Another great way to keep volunteering online is to share on social media in alternative ways to raise awareness. If you're unsure of how to complete volunteer activities virtually, or if you need ideas, then you can always reach out to our team in the national office, and we're happy to support you.
And that concludes our volunteer training. Now that you've completed this video, please take a moment to complete the training quiz, which can be found at the bottom of this webpage. Please also send an email to Danny confirming that you have completed the training. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, we're more than happy to answer any of your questions and to support you in your volunteer role. You can reach out to me at dannybristow@shelterboxcanada.org or by phone at 647-352-1930. I typically work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern Time. If ever you need support or if you need help with anything or you just want to chat, please reach out.
We're so excited to have you join our incredible volunteer team across Canada. Thank you so much for taking the time to apply, to complete the signed forms, and as well to now complete this training. We're really excited to have you come on board with us as an ambassador, and I can't wait to see all of the incredible things you'll do as a volunteer. Thank you.